Alright, welcome to the next video in the series, and we're going to sort of go over what we did in the last video because there's actually a small bug. I was kind of zipping through it to demonstrate the point, and if you followed the video and then launched the game, you might notice something strange, and we'll get into what that strangeness is in a minute. But first, we're basically just going to redo what we did in the previous video. I'm not going to go through it in any great detail, but we'll do it sort of fast so we can get where we need to be and show the bug and then how to deal with it. And this kind of bug that's going to manifest itself is pretty common. I mean, you're especially when you have more than one value. I mean, you'll filter down the result set to the point where you think you found the value, and then you'll start changing values, and you'll see the program react in the way that you want it to. And sort of a knee-jerk reaction is just to say, "Oh, I found the value," and then I don't care about anything else, much like I did in the last video. And that's not always a good thing. I mean, sometimes you'll be fine, other times you won't, and we'll kind of see what I was talking about, or what I am talking about, as we go through it. So, I'm gonna launch the game and make sure the music is still down. We're gonna go to new game just like we did before. We're gonna launch the campaign. We'll do some loading. We'll make a male character this time. We'll go with an orc. Um, we can select an archetype now. Why am I doing roll your own? Um, Basically, I'm doing it because it gives us more karma to work with. So I mean, whenever you're trying to find a value, it behooves you to have as much to work with as possible, to be able to set up an environment, if you will, um, where you can add, remove, and just change the value with as much room or as much range as possible. So to make that a little more concrete, you can see that when we roll our own character in Shadowrun, we have available karmas 34. If we back out and say click on one of the archetypes and then we go forward, you can see that now we have available karma as 5. So I mean that's we could still find the value, but as you can see, we bring quickness up to 3. Now we're down to 2, and then we click that, and now we're down to 1. I mean, it's a much smaller set that we or range that we have to work with as opposed to rolling our own. And it's a style preference, I suppose, to some extent, but it's also just good practice to be able to, or to set yourself up again with an environment that allows you to mess around as much as possible. And then it I think I'll probably end up doing a video on just sort of in an abstract way how to set it up, to facilitate finding values. But that's for another time. So male character, make it an orc, or I guess that's female. Okay, so anyway, I guess we'll make a female orc. That's nice. We'll continue. Find 34. We're going to alt tab, not to that, to the desktop. Open up Cheat Engine. Attach to the process. That's the wrong process. There we go. And we know we want 34. It's a 4-byte value, so we got 5,800 values. Or yep. So I don't know. We'll change it. 27, just like we did before. Hit enter. Filters it down. It's great. We're making profit. So 22. See both values change. Now, just like we did last time, and then just set it to something crazy. We're going to use some smaller values, just to avoid any possible problems. So you can see we now have available karmas 82. It's great. We come back out here and you see that this value is 82, which, so we know that this is the actual, this is what we want. So we'll just change the description to karma. And then this one is 4, which doesn't seem to immediately have any relation to what it is we're doing, but well, we'll get to that. So let's just, oh, well, we have the value. We don't care about this one, just like we did in the last video. And let's just say we want all that. Okay, it's great. Confirm, confirm. What name are we going to use? Sneakers is what we're going to do. So it'll load. We'll go through it. I'll drink some coffee. Go to continue. All right, So we're in the game. It's great. We can move around. Everything's functional. Game hasn't crashed, so we're not totally screwing up. I'm gonna go up to the PDA here. Gonna bring up our karma. Now, this is the bug that I was talking about. What's going on here? We have 73, negative 73. Is that even possible? It's gonna be a long time in this game before you get to 0 with the available karma. You alt tab back out. You can see our karma value here is 0. See if we can change it. We'll make it 5. Does that actually have any effect in the game? No, it does not. Doesn't appear to anyway. We're forcing the memory or the menus to refresh and recalculate the karma value. You can see we're still at negative 73. So there's no value that we found or that we were working with before that'll allow us to figure out what the hell's going on and why we have negative 73. So we could do a new scan and do negative 73 if we really wanted to. And, you're going to get into a whole, you don't really want to scan for negative numbers. You're going to get into a whole sort of, a whole mess, if you will. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go and just quit. And we're going to go back and we're going to sort of deduce what's going on here. So we're going to go back to new game, start a new character. We'll make it an actual male this time. We'll go with the elf or the human, as the case may be. We're going to roll our own so we have a nice range or value range to work with. And we're just going to sort of repeat what we did. What do we got? 34. I'm sorry, 37. New scan. Spend a couple points. 28. Down to 3. Spend a couple more points. Down to 10. All right, down to 2 values. So you can get rid of this first one as well because we know that that's an old value. It's stale. All right, so let's change it to 100. Spend a point. Nothing. So we don't know what this value is, or we will, but we don't know currently what it is. Right now we're just looking for the actual driver for the value. We change it to 999. Alt tab back. All right, so we know that this one right here is the actual value for karma. We don't know what this first one is yet, and we'll get to that. So when we did this last time, we wound up with negative 73. So let's just go in. We'll change something, a small change, 981. We come back out. We can see that this value has changed accordingly because it's storing how much karma that the game thinks we have. Let's try and figure out what this one is. So in order to do that, we're going to use the game to we're going to use the functionality of the game to add points and remove points like we've been doing. But what we're going to do is we're going to watch for a correlation between this value and what the game is doing to this value. So maybe to make that a little more clear, as we add points, this value is changing down here. The actual karma value is changing. Now you can see that this value is changing as well. So let's try and figure out what is changing this value. Well, it's 80 now, and this is 979. So if we go in, let's just remove 1 point. So this should be 980, and then we notice that this value is going up by 1. So whatever the game is taking or adding from this actual karma value here, it's depositing in this first value. And that's important because if we go in and we add all this up, let's just spend a ton of points. And you'll see why we're doing this in a second. So we come back out. All right, so you can see we spent in this screen right here more than 80 points or 81, which is what this value had. So once we spend more, you can see that basically the game is just adding and subtracting from this first value. So what this tells us, we'll remove a couple points here. We'll come back and you can see that this value has gone to 39. So this is the value of karma points that we have to spend, and you can sort of deduce that this is the actual value that will be assigned to the character for their karma value once we start the game. So how do we know that? Well, I know it because I dealt with this problem initially when I first started messing around with the game, but once you get a little more experience in messing with these kinds of things, I mean, these are the sort of correlations that you have to watch for. And it's, you basically you get a feel for it, as the case may be. But whenever you see, like in the last instance, we confirmed it, we launched the game, and we ended up having negative 73 for karma. I mean, when you see outlier results or just results that don't make sense like that, it always pays to come back and sort of walk back through what you just did and look for correlations like this, because more often than not, it'll be something like this that's going on with the game. It's not always as simple as find the value, change it, launch the game, and then profit. Um, Again, when you see results that don't make sense, you do it in very small steps. Find a value, change it, make sure that the results are what you expect or and valid as the case may be. And if it's not, then you come back and basically just keep going through that same step, um, to sort of figure out what's going on, and you can track down the error and fix it. Um, and as I talked about in the previous video, this is kind of a style preference. Um, there's a bit of philosophy behind it, but I think we've done a decent job at this point of explaining how we determined what's going on here. Now, how do we prove that we're right and that this is the actual value that's going to be assigned to us when we start a new game? Well, we'll just come over here. We have 938, which is the available karma, 938 here, and then you can say we have 39 here. So when we confirm in the actual game, when we confirm and launch the game, and then we'll bring up the PDA. If we have 39 karma, then we know that our theory is correct. So let's do that. We will confirm it. What are we gonna name it? We will name Zero. Cool. It's a nice little 90s pop culture reference there. The game loads up. Go to continue. Down and out indeed. Fire it up, and there's 39 karma. 39 karma. We can spend it. We go from here. So before we end this video, we will go back here and make the point. So this value is now zeroed out. It's useless to us now because this is strictly for the character creation. Um, if you start messing with values here, this one will never change. The game, essentially, in a nutshell, in a sort of a broad general stroke, the game has basically forgotten about this value. It's still in the memory of the process, but it doesn't mean what it used to mean. So we can get rid of that, and that value will never be of use to us again. You can see we'll do a change. We have 29. This value is changing. Now, is this the actual karma value for the player? It seems to be. So let's just change it to 100. Go back to the game. Force it to recalculate. And it's not changing properly. So this is not the actual value for the character once we start the game. During character creation, this is just the value that's assigned to the player once when the game is started. But once the game has started and we're actually playing the game, this value, again, just like the previous one, it becomes sort of useless to us. So if we wanted to actually find the available karma in the game once we're out of the character creation screen, we'd have to not sort of, but we would have to refilter the results, start a new search and start finding the value again, um, and we'll do that. But for the time being, the point has been made, and we'll confirm it. Whatever. Now we have 71. That's interesting. So apparently, we can use that value. Change it to 1,000. Go back out. Close the PDA. Open the PDA back up, and now we have 1,000 karma. All right. So there you have it. So it's not always so cut and dry. Apparently, this is the value for the player once we start the game. So it's pretty interesting. I would not have expected that, but life's full of surprises. And we'll get into this a little bit more in the next video.